Welcome everybody to the Nutrition Health Connection live show. Today we have very special guests on Evelia Arriaza. Later, her husband, Dr. Louis Arriaza, will also be joining us. We're so thrilled and proud that they're on here with us. And we're excited to get going with our show here.
Welcome to the Nutrition Health Connection Show with Becky Mulcahy and Cindy Philippi, where we share with you valuable secrets, tips, and the latest discoveries for your true health choices.
Okay, we're back again. Evelia Arriaza is live show. Today we have very wonderfully well known in Youngevity and outside of Youngevity. She is diamond level this month. Her and her husband, we're so thrilled and proud for them to be achieving the brand new rank. She's a top presenter and speaker, strong woman's advocate, and she's the mom of 3 adorable boys, very darling. And her 88-year-old mom and her 84-year-old mother-in-law live with her. She's a crazy busy woman, very, very successful, and we're so thrilled to hear her wisdom today of how she manages her life and what she finds as priorities and how she gets some time freedom with all this stuff. So thank you so much, Evelia, for joining us today, and take it away.
Thank you, Cindy and Becky, for inviting me. It's really exciting, and I love this whole Google Hangout image. You know, I'm so like low tech, high touch, but I know that I have to get with the program and use technology to our advantage, especially with all of the international growth that our business is having. So it's a great way to end the year doing this with you ladies, and soon my husband will be here too, joining us.
Appreciate it.
Yes. So so today you wanted me to share about the mineral makeup, or you wanted me to share about my work with women?
Yes, absolutely. You are so well known for women, empowering women, and so many people are struggling these days, with managing their life, with financial freedom, with time to take care of their own kids, with health concerns. And your lifestyle encompasses all of that well. How do you do all that? What's your tricks? What's your secrets?
My secret. And the good thing is there's no secret. That it's available to everyone. First always it's the grace of God and the favor of God He has in my life. That He's always, I've been able to always manifest these magnificent things in my life, and it's really, I can't even take credit for them. I can't take credit for them. And but specifically with Youngevity and with women, I get that question a lot. How do you do everything? How is it that you take care of your mom and your mother-in-law? One's Mexican, one's Salvadorian, so pray for me. I always have people pray for me because on most days they are more work than the kids. But, they get along most of the time, but they will call me more than the kids will, actually. That they need yogurt, or they need me to, or my mom, are you wearing a sweater today? It's cold, and I'm 40 years old, and she's 88, and she's still asking me these questions, right? Which is a blessing, And the 3 boys, so we have 3 boys, 13, 8, and 6, and they're very active in sports, and they do a lot of things, and I'm room mom, and I'm chairman of different committees at their school, and I'm at every party, at every game, and I also have a very successful business along with my husband in Youngevity. And for me, I have a heart for women. I think because I saw my father became an alcoholic when I was about 10 years old, and then he had a stroke when I was 13, and he was bedridden. I took care of him too for 24 years. He passed 3 years ago. And he was like a baby. He wore a diaper. He didn't walk. He didn't talk. And so for 24 years, my mom and I always took care of him at home. And that was my privilege also. And so growing up, I saw my mother be really strong. And I saw her, how she would forgive my father and how she would deal with all these things that I didn't quite understand. But as a woman, I now understand them, and I think that I know that that's where my heart for women came, and that I saw how capable and all this enormousness that was inside of my mother, and because she didn't know any better, and really it manifested in me, but it could have manifested in so many other people, and it didn't because she didn't have a platform to do it with. And so, I really believe in generational curses and generational blessings, and I know that everything that my mother went through, and she was the neighborhood nurse and the neighborhood store and the neighborhood bank. Like, people needed something, they came to our house. They needed money, they came to our house. And we didn't have money. Her and I worked from home. Like, she always took care of children. We assembled things at our house, trying to get by, right? Because my father became an alcoholic, and then he was incapacitated like a baby. So watching her, now that I'm a woman, I have a heart for women. And, through Youngevity, it's given me the opportunity to help so many women. And, a lot of people say, women empowerment. And, I have a group, right, or this movement that evolved called More Than High Heels, that really is just like this little cute name that we came up for our meetings, because it was like people, oh, I want to go to that, what is that? And it was just catchy and kind of cool. So it became a movement all of its own, and it wasn't really my efforts. It's a lot of other women, in Youngevity that feel the same way. And so it's women empowerment is, I'm always careful with that word, because it's not about like, oh, we're better, or, it's because sometimes it's like a competitive type of vibe with women empowerment, or like a feminist movement or something. For me, it's a spirit of cooperation. It's not about, separating ourselves from the men or other people. It's just about really knowing what we've been called to do and that we're equipped to do it. And so it's really more of a nurturing thing, that I really kind of fell into, because believe me, it wasn't something I woke up and said, I'm going to do this. And many times I have tried to, like, okay, I'm not going to do this conference call, or I'm not going to, you try to talk yourself out of things, right? And then you hear the voices talk to you, and then you have other people in your life that have more courage than you do, right, that tell you got to do this. And so, okay, well, if you think I should do this, then maybe I should think I should do this too. And so it's been an evolution for me, and Youngevity has been an absolutely amazing platform, because I really haven't found another way in which I could bless other women and give them an opportunity to not only be home with their children, right? Or even if they don't want to be home with their children, there's a lot of single girls, but if they want to do something significant with their lives and earn an amazing income and use your talents and have time freedom, because Louis and I know how to make money. I've been entrepreneurial since I was a little girl. I've done a lot of things. I would have talent shows in my front porch and charge the neighborhood kids to come see me. Okay, that's how I was Boy George once with the long hair and braided all my hair. I cannot sing, I swear. Like, that is, I always ask God, like, if there's one talent I can ask for, it would be that one, and I didn't get it. But I've always thought of things to do, and I think it was because we had so much need, and I saw my mom always doing stuff, so I did the same thing, right? And so with Youngevity, we have, where else can you go and not have a glass ceiling when we're speaking of women and the possibilities of earning money? Nowhere. 84% of all women who made over $100,000 last year made it in network marketing, made it in direct sales. So we know that this is the industry, that we drive this industry, and it's an amazing opportunity, because the computer that generates our commissions doesn't know our sex, it doesn't know our level of education, it doesn't know our experience, our background. All it knows is our work. And where else can you go to where you're not judged by what you look like, who you are, what you do, by just your work? Nowhere. And specifically for women, because in corporate America, we're going to make 38% less than our male counterparts.
Yeah.
And that's just the way it is. Now, I'm not hating, I'm not mad about it. That's just the way it is. And of course, we have women like the CEO of Pepsi and the CEO of Facebook and all these women that are changing that. But really, when you look at just the averages on Forbes, you know, it's their numbers, not mine. And you look at 84% of women making six figures have made it in this industry. It tells you something. And for me, it's not just a number that I'm looking at. For me, I look at why is it that women are making all this money in this one industry? Why? And I think that when you make money, it's because you're happy at something, because you're good at it, because you feel that you're using your talents. You know, and so for us women, we're naturally networkers. We love to talk about what we love, and we love to encourage. It's just that's the way God made us. So this industry was made for us. And so Youngevity has just been an amazing platform for me, because we have, I mean, of course, Dr. Joe Wallach, right? I mean, 90 for life, that every single living being needs, plants, animals, humans, everybody needs it. And then for women, you know, with the mineral makeup, I know cosmetic chemistry because it's been a passion of mine for 14 years. I don't have a degree in it. My degree's in business, but when I came to Youngevity and I saw the makeup, I saw that the quality of the makeup, the purity of the makeup, the coverage. Because let me tell you that women, you could tell women that it's good for her, but if it doesn't cover her flaws, she doesn't care. You know, or if the color isn't good, or like with young girls, if you don't give them the pigmentation and the coverage they want, they don't care how good it is for them, because they're not in that season of their life. And with Youngevity, we have it all. So I just began to do these health and beauty message combinations, you know, because for women, health and beauty are all one thing. Everyone's aware now of artificial colors and ingredients. Oh, there's a door knock. Hold on. That's okay. You for 1 second. Lewis is here. Okay, so please excuse me.
Alrighty, no worries. That's awesome. So Dr. Arriaza is back. He's been crazy busy with all the big stuff going on with their new 6,000 square foot brand new conference center that they're building in Cali down there. So he is meeting himself coming and going, but he's meeting with us today. There he is. Hey, Doc.
Look how wonderful you look. That's great.
Crazy good. I know, technical difficulties of all shows. I'm like, oh my gosh, but now we're on.
Oh, you just started right now?
Like a few minutes ago?
Yeah, not too long ago. Yeah, we were about 15 behind, so. And we never had that. I don't know what the deal was today of all days, but hopefully our viewers are migrating over, so we posted up. Oh my gosh. But, you know, it's going to happen once in a while, but I wish it wasn't this show.
No, that's okay. Do you know how many people are on?
I don't know how many are on. They're still migrating over from the other link. So, did you tell people this morning, any of your peeps, to come on there? Do you know?
Other than through the daily dose calls.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I've been behind the scenes. I've caught a couple people and given them the right link. I see our numbers are coming up a little bit, so
good.
And that's why I keep blocking myself out, because I'm back here. You know.
Yeah, thank heavens for Cindy, because she's a techie girl and she's back there doing magic, so it's all good.
Awesome. Well,
Okay.
we were
glad you guys are on. Thank you.
Oh, of course. Let me get a chair. Take her.
well, we were beginning to discuss mineral makeup.
Yeah.
But everybody's waiting for neuroplasticity, which is kind of a little different.
Slightly.
Oh, yeah.
Just
it's
like,
all good. We're just, you know, we're glad with whatever you guys' interest is. It's really fun to meet you. And everybody's like, you know, they know who you guys are, but you don't get a personal connection like this, like we're sitting in your office at your home with you. It's beautiful. So just anything. We're just really happy to be engaged with you guys. I know people are going to just be loving this. So whatever you want to tell us about, I'm so excited just to hear what you want to talk about.
Go ahead.
You know, it's just like we talked about a little bit yesterday. This year, things have really, really happened. Thank God, you know, things have grown, but it's all been belly to belly, kneecap to kneecap, and sooner or later, for every organization, it's begins to be like a bottleneck. So this for us is huge because we're not very techy, and one of our New Year's resolutions is to become a lot more techy, because this way we can actually reach, like you said, infinite number of people. And it's really, really interesting. This morning at 7:30, I had a meeting with my pastor, and I told him about this. So he has a very small church that's up and coming. So he called his tech guy. So not this Wednesday, but next Wednesday, which is going to be the 7th, there's going to be their first time that they do their sermon through Google Hangout, which is going to be pretty cool.
Oh, that's so
you know
nice.
anything about this? Yeah. So no, this technology is fabulous, but at the end of the day, you know, it's still about getting the principles out. It's about getting the systems out. It's about getting people to understand how phenomenal this industry could be if they only do it correctly. And there is a way. There's a lot of ways to not do it well, but there is a couple of ways that if people really make a commitment, and Becky, I told you this last night, it doesn't matter who it is, it doesn't matter where you live, it doesn't matter how much experience you have or what you've done in the past. If anyone commits to following the system is going to work for everybody. But the challenge is that most people don't know what the system is. That's the greatest challenge.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, tell me what to do.
Yeah, you know, they don't know what the system is, or they come into the game with a lot of programming that is really hindering them, not just network marketing, but programming in life. Right. You know, just a lot of limitations, self-imposed limitations, and things that you know. I was here. Let me just read some cool statistics. It says here, a lot of people are overloaded and headed for a crash. People now sleep 2.5 fewer hours each night than they did 100 years ago. You're sleeping less than your grandparents did. The average work week is longer now than it was in the 1960s. The average office worker has 36 hours of work piled up on his or her desk. It takes us 3 hours a week just to sort through it and find what we need. We spend 8 months out of our lives opening junk mail, 2 years of our lives playing phone tag with people who are busy or who are not answering, 5 years waiting for people who are trying to do too much and are late for everything. Steve Jobs said this. He says, "I have no peace, I have no quiet, I have no rest, and trouble keeps coming." So what's happening with a lot of people is that they find themselves being busy. They find themselves on the treadmill of life, and they're working really hard. In network marketing, you see it very often. They're working really, really diligently. They're just not progressing. And if there's progress, there's no peace about it. And what people don't realize is that the formula for success is not work equals success. It's working with peace equals success. Because there's a lot of people that work but have no peace and they don't see a progress. But when you work with peace, that becomes very attractive to people. Because then you lead with the spirit. And when you lead with the spirit, network marketing changes completely. The perspective of people changes. The value changes. What people do to get involved changes. People will, you know, they will do whatever, sell whatever, and go wherever if we lead with the spirit. And that's something that, you know, we've really, with the help of other people that have influenced us, that's something that we've really tried to do every single day. And it's been very productive. It's been very progressive this year. So definitely wanted to share some things about, you know, how to kind of make 2015 better for a lot of people. I know that for my wife and I, you know, we have, you know, in God's name, we have some really, really, really big goals. Really big goals. But why not? You know, God's going to bless somebody. Why not Him bless us? You know what I mean? God's going to expand somebody's territory. Why not He expand our territory, right? So, yeah.
She's like, mine too.
Yeah. And when I say ours, I mean all of ours, you know, because everyone has the same opportunity. So, so do we get started right now? Are people on? Are people on?
Yes, absolutely. Just go ahead, and they'll be trickling on and on and on. And this is going to be on an automatic replay until we do our next live show next Wednesday. So they can also, you can channel people to this, and they can just keep watching the replay of this until we do a new one. Also, we do record these, so you can share it out with your team, and we'll show you the different ways that you can share this and put it where you can access it forever.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Very versatile.
Yes.
So,
no, I
love talking about the neuro-linguistic angle. That's how you're talking about being successful, not working so hard. Maybe like working smarter, like with more understanding. Is that what you were?
Well, you know, like did you attack and confess? Did you share your story a little bit?
A little bit. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. What did you share?
Where my heart for women came from, and when my father was an alcoholic, and then he had a stroke and was bedridden, and how I saw my mom struggle and all the greatness that's inside of her, but she didn't have a platform. Like, it reaped in me, but it could have reaped in so many other people, and it didn't. And I know that that's why I have this fire in me to reap into other women, so that their greatness doesn't stay just with them. It feeds onto other people.
So and like my wife's story, right? Like my upbringing, very, very similar. You know, parents migrated here 54 years ago. My mom, she got to the 6th grade, and my dad to the 5th grade. They were both illiterate. They were actually double illiterate, if there's such a thing, because they didn't know how to read or write Spanish, and they didn't know how to read or write English, which made it a lot more challenging. And so when they came here like everybody else that migrates to the United States. They're looking for the American dream. And unfortunately, the American dream becomes a nightmare for most people because they just don't know. They have very, very little awareness. And there's a study done by 2020, about 15, 20 years ago, on these two twins, these two boys. They were separated at about the age of 6. They were born into, emotional abuse, physical abuse. Their parents were drug addicts, so the state pulled them and they put them in foster homes, and then they were fostered out to different homes at the age of 6. They were found about 34 years later at the age of 40. One of the twins, he was a drug addict, had 3 or 4 kids from 3 or 4 different women, going from job to job, was living in a small 1-bedroom, 1-bathroom apartment in a very bad area of the city. And they asked him, they said, well, why do you think you turned out the way you turned out? And he said, look at my upbringing. He says, what do you expect? And then they found the twin. And when they found the twin, he was a top executive for a Fortune 500 company. He was incredibly financially prosperous. He had a beautiful wife. He had beautiful kids. He had a wonderful home. He had what most people look for. And they asked him, they said, well, why do you think you turn out the way you did? He said, well, look at my upbringing. He says, what do you expect? So what we've been learning and what we've known for many, 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 many years is that life really isn't as it is. Life is the way we see it. We have the choice every single day. We have the choice to live life the way we want to live it. And that's spiritual. Also in the book of Deuteronomy, chapter 30, verse 19, it says, you have the choice, choose either life or choose death. So from inception, we know that God has given us the power of free will, right? God's not going to make a choice for us. He wants us to make that choice. He's going to help us with whatever we ask, but he wants us to make that choice. But most people can't develop the courage or can't develop the discipline or can't develop the things necessary to make up that choice because ever since they're born, we have all these programmings in our mind. We have all these files that are filed away in our subconscious. They go from our conscious mind to our subconscious mind. Every single second, our conscious mind is picking up 2,000 bits of information all around us: colors, sounds, feelings, touches, taste, smells. Our subconscious mind is picking up over 200 million bits of information. Our subconscious mind. So you can only imagine how very, very, very little we catch on to of what's really going on. You can imagine how very little we learn from what's available to us. And the only thing that we learn is what we are associated with. That's the only thing. The only thing we know is, the only thing we learn is what we know already in our subconscious mind. So when someone comes into network marketing, most people that come into network marketing have never ever experienced success. Most people that come into network marketing are not multimillionaires. They're not entrepreneurs. They're not owners of huge companies.
They're not Keith Hall.
They're not Tom Chenault and Dr. Corey Gold and Keith Halls. They're people like us. They're average people, right? And so they come in, and it's a phenomenal platform. It's an awesome opportunity, but they don't see the awesome opportunity. There's a part in their brain that will not allow them to see the opportunity that is there for all of us. It's really interesting. you know that we are addicted to dropping mega packs, right? This is something that we do. We drop mega packs in our sleep, right? And people wonder, like, how the heck do you? Well, because that's what we see. That's what we put out. That's what we train. And for some people, even if we tell them, they just it's just something that it is literally neurologically impossible for them to see it because they don't have that programming. So many of us believe, including myself, I believe that we were wired for a certain period, right? That we were wired, and to unwire ourselves was almost next to impossible. And now with the science of neuroplasticity, it shows us, and there's scientific proof, there's scientific evidence that show us that there is a way to rewire your hard drive. And that makes it super exciting because now it doesn't matter, Becky, what has happened to you in your past. It doesn't matter how good, how bad, how horrific your past has been. It doesn't matter if you've been in this company for 2 years or 5 years and you're a regional marketing director, and that's all you've done in 3 or 4 or 5 years. We can take you from a regional marketing director to a senior vice chair in the next 6 months. We can take you from an independent marketing director to a senior vice chair in 90 days. And I'll tell you why. Because your mind can be transformed. Because we can rewire yourself. And once we rewire it, everything changes. And this is also spiritual. In the book of Romans chapter 12, verse 2, it says, don't be conformed to the ways of the world, but be transformed by the mind of the Spirit. Well, it already tells us, that line, it already tells us, right? Spiritually, it tells us that we were created to be able to change that wiring. So it gives us tremendous hope because in our organization, kind of maybe different from others, we work with a lot of people that do come from a low income. We deal with a lot of people that come from broken homes. We deal with a lot of people who are going through massive financial challenges. And with these very, very strong emotional situations come a lot of strong programming. So to know that there is a science, that will change, that could change that. There's a system. There's a 21-day system that can change that, Becky, that makes us incredibly hopeful because now we know that anyone that follows a simple system first, and like Jim Rohn, many people have said in the past, Jim Rohn is the one that kind of coined it the best. He said, if you work on your work, you'll manifest the living. But when you decide to work on yourself, you can create a fortune. And when he said work on yourself, he doesn't mean work on your body. He means work on your spirit. And when you decide to work on your spirit, then Becky, all kinds of things begin to change. So this is what these are the topics. These are the teachings that we're going to be doing in the month of January extensively. I mean, we're really going to take people. This is the person that has kind of put it all together. I don't know if you can see the book. It's called Switch On Your Brain.
Yes, we can see it. Just hold it still for a sec. It'll focus. Yep, absolutely perfect.
Yeah, Switch On Your Brain. And it's just an amazing book, and it features a 21-day brain detox plan. And I'm excited because what we've been able to do in the last 2 years, which has been pretty cool, right? But now being able to give people a systematic approach to rewire that hard drive, to really understand the power of neuroplasticity and neurogenesis and how that works scientifically and spiritually, and how that can take any individual, reprogram them to be able to see the opportunities, to be able to see people that can get involved in network marketing, to be able to see the health and the wealth. I know that's kind of a cheesy term, but it's true. To be able to see the wealth that's right in front of us. And I tell people every day, I told you this last night, you are one person from a good business, you are 2 people from a thriving business, and you are 3 people from becoming a multimillionaire. Yes or no?
Yes.
This it's crazy, but it's literally that simple.
Yeah, when I look at our business in 2014, the biggest difference was Levi.
Yes.
Henry.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
People.
One person. What's that?
One person.
person, the biggest difference was Levi. I'm like, I thought she was going to say a system or something.
People, because that's the power of this business. People, that it's not just your talent and your ability, it's other people's talent and ability, and more than their talent, their abilities, their desire, and how that manifests into all of our lives.
Yeah. And this is what's crazy. If we look at our organization, this is really, really interesting. Levi came in, right? My wife and I, we got involved in March of 2012, but because of what had happened, I personally, I was pretty beat up, right? Emotionally, I was very, very beat up. So we got involved in March of 2012, but we really didn't get started till September. September is when we said, you know, we're either going to do it or we're going to stop, because we can't be in this limbo place, right? And so by March, I felt a lot better. You know, things have kind of settled. Not the drama hadn't, because the drama had just started, but in our minds we said, okay, we're gonna knock this out. Well, this was in September. In December, Levi comes into our life. I didn't recruit Levi. I didn't look physically. I didn't look for Levi. Levi found us. Now there's a point to that. Levi found us.
Wow.
He got involved in December. January, February, March. By March of that year, he had brought in somebody who brought in somebody that in 90 days had probably brought in between 500 to 600 people. Okay.
Seriously?
All on mega packs. You've probably heard of Jimmy Duran, who became a senior vice chair in 47 days under Levi. You probably heard of Maria Roybal, who became senior vice chair in 90 days under Levi. You probably heard of Mercedes. Right now, Levi has maybe about 2 senior vice chairs and about a dozen vice chairs in 12 months. So that's Levi, right? And then another time later, we get a call. Someone found us. Literally, these people found us, and here comes Henry. Henry is a gentleman from Las Vegas who is Colombian, who is on the internet radio, and he became a senior vice chair in 60 days, right? And then another day. This is the common thread. We didn't look for any of these people. But something happens when you align your thoughts. Something happens when you reprogram yourself. Because at the end of the day, everything is energy. At the end of the day, there's a certain amount of energy that you're putting out that's going to be either attractive or distractive. And the more that you understand how powerful you are, the more that you are on purpose, the more purposeful you live your life, the more spiritually attractive we become. And next thing you know, you're going to be walking in at Trader Joe's, and someone's going to stop you and say, I don't know what it is, but there's something about you that I want to know more about. And that can be your gigantic leg. You're going to be sitting at dinner, and someone's going to come up to you and say, on Sunday, says, gosh, you know, you have such a wonderful family. We're not looking at them. We're not trying to do anything.
We're just having breakfast.
Yeah, we're just having breakfast. Probably scolding the kids, right?
Yeah. I'm probably yelling at one of them.
Yeah, probably scolding the kids.
Working for you.
And they're saying, you know, we love your family twice that day. So it's not, but now you've put yourself in this zone. You've put yourself in the zone. You see it a lot in athletics. I don't know if whoever's listening, maybe it's just you and Cindy, but no, that's okay. We've spoken to less people before.
Yeah,
but Michael Jordan was. We're huge sport fans, and Michael Jordan, who they were playing the Trailblazers. This is about 10 years ago, and Michael Jordan, he scored like 8 3-point shots in the first half, something no one else had done. And after they interviewed Michael Jordan, they said, how did you do that? Like, how did you score 3-point shots, which is like a real far shot? How you were shooting so perfect? He said, I felt as if I was throwing a tennis ball into a trash can. That's called being in the zone. And science proves that athletes, they get into the zone that they see they see nothing else. Well, that can happen in network marketing also, where you get in a zone that next thing you know, people are saying, gosh, you look fabulous. God, there's something about you. That something about you is that energy. So when I sit with people in network marketing, when I sit with our organization, and I see that they're afraid, and I see that they're discouraged, and I see that they're frustrated, and I see that they're upset, and I see that they're disconnected, I tell them, you're not going to build the business that way. I wouldn't find you attractive because the energy that you're putting out isn't one that I want to be around. Right?
Yep, exactly.
Yeah.
And then it hasn't, I feel like we've kind of even just begun entering that zone.
Oh, gosh,
like we just started. Like,
yes.
Yeah, so it's not like we're there. We just started. And then, but you attract. You absolutely attract all these wonderful people. And then, then it's still work. Because then you got to help them get to where they want to go, right? So it's not just like, oh, they come and then, spend a lot.
Yeah, like, senior vice chairs don't just like pop up. Yeah.
That's where your skill level and your level of commitment takes place. And that's how that manifests.
And that's where, like we said earlier, that's where you're working, but you have a peace about it because you know the result already. And no way to boast or we believe that we're humble, but we know how this year is going to be already. We already see it. We already feel it. Yes. I mean, we know the doors that God's going to open up for us. We feel it in our hearts. We have touched and received people's prayers. We know, and we're willing to go to work. Right? We're willing. Just today we've already had 2-3 meetings. Right? On New Year's Eve, so we're willing to go to work. Last night, we the night before New Year's Eve, we get 64 people involved. We're willing to go to work because we love this, because it's purpose-filled. It's not, when we say work, I even feel like I'm, demeaning what we do, because it's not really work. I saw my dad and my mom work. My wife saw her father work. That was work. That was, you get up when you don't want to get up. You come home and you're tired and you're dirty and you're exhausted and you're underpaid. That's work. Gosh, to sit in our office and talk to you. If this is what we're going to do for a while, this is pretty cool, right? But there's Jimmy Duran, our senior vice chair. He puts it perfectly. He says there's an aspect to network marketing that it is a job. The trainings we do, that's our job. That's what we get paid. We get paid to train. We get paid to share the message. We get paid to recruit. We don't train when we want to train. We train like a job. Monday morning, we're doing training. Tuesday night, we're doing leadership. Wednesday, we're doing presentations. Thursday morning, Thursday night, we're doing training and leadership. That's our job. That's what we do. We're not. We don't do it because we feel like it. We do it because this is what we're supposed to do. Earl Nightingale. I'm sure you've heard of Earl Nightingale. He was the first person that ever put out the first motivational LP back in the day when we had vinyl records, and it was called The Greatest Secret. That was what it was called. Sold 50 million copies. This is in 1951. I know, The Greatest Secret, right? And he said, he was sitting with a gentleman, and because Earl Nightingale was also an author, and Earl Nightingale wrote 1 hour every day, 7 days a week. And he'd put out about 1 or 2 books a year. And this author came up to him, he's like, gosh, how do you write so many books? And Earl Nightingale asked him, he says, well, when do you write? He says, well, I prepare myself and I find my corner in my home, and when the sun is going down and the wind is, I'm like, Earl Nightingale saying, so you have to have like these moments. Oh yeah, it's all about having. He says, no, I write every day, 1 hour a day. I write even if I don't feel like writing. He says the next day I may look at it and I may tear it up, but he says I write because that's just what I do. Well, that's part of the approach to network marketing. We recruit because we're supposed to recruit. We talk to people because we're supposed to talk to them. We love it, but there's aspects that you may not love, but we still get it done. Too many people look at network marketing. One of the most beautiful aspects of network marketing is that it's emotion based. One of the worst things about network marketing is that it's emotion based. Yeah. So if we can take a little bit of the emotion out of it, just a little bit, sometimes, not always, but if we can take a little bit of the emotion out of it and look at sometimes what we do as our job, that's just what we do, right?
Even if you don't feel like it.
Even if you don't feel, and even if you may not even like it.
Yeah, because there's times where I'm gonna go present and I'm like, gosh, I rather not today. I rather go take my mom where she needs to go. And I mean, we have full-time help, helping us. There's no other way we could do it without Maria Luisa and Annie. And I'm like, but I feel like being with my mom today, or maybe she's, she's a little more fragile today. But I said, but you know what? But I'm doing this for her also. And there's other people that need to hear this. I heard this message, and someone else needs to hear this message. And part of it is work. Like, okay, I may not feel like it, but I have to go, right? Like a job. Like Jimmy always says, that he uses a great example. He says, in this business, we talk about it being, you know, you own your own business and you're self-employed. He says, well, don't think of it as being self-employed, because when you're self-employed, you can choose to not go to work and you can choose to come in late. He says, I want you to think of it as a job. If this is a job and you have a meeting at 8, you're gonna be there at 8. You're not gonna reschedule it, because guess what? You could get fired. So it's the same thing here.
Right.
You do it when you feel like doing it, and you feel like you do it when you don't feel like doing it. And also, the way we see it also is it's a responsibility that we have. That someone gave us this opportunity, that we learned of this industry, that we learned of Youngevity, and there's someone that's waiting to hear the same thing. And if we fall back to being tired or thinking about ourselves, then we're not going to accomplish that.
Yeah, I mean,
so part of what you find with network marketing, then that's part of the healthy lifestyle overall. You can take care of your children, you can take care of your parents, and work your life around that much better than with the job. It's don't you think that's health promoting?
Yeah.
I mean, for us, because someone had asked, right? I mean, I imagine my wife does. I know I get asked a lot. How do you find time for the family, or when do you see the family?
Or even Becky was asking me, how do you guys do all that?
Yeah.
I see
Oh my gosh.
one person. It's like 100 people, 300 people. I said, well, first, it wasn't always 300 people, but we follow the same fundamental disciplines of doing it for one person like we do it for 100. If we're at a presentation and one person shows up, we're going to present the same way we would present if 1,000 people were there.
You know, there's a story by one of our friends, Les Brown, and he was coming into a school in Compton, and he didn't really like to speak at high schools because the response may not be what he is. You know, speaking to a group of 14, 15, 16, 17-year-olds is really tough. If you think presenting stuff, try to speak to high school. That's really difficult, right? And,
Get them to laugh.
Get them to laugh, or get them to pay attention. That's tough. And so he showed up, and he flew. He was on the East Coast, and he flew all the way to the West Coast. And he put in time. He showed up, and there was one boy.
And he's Les Brown.
And you know who Les Brown is?
I do. Yeah. I haven't seen a lot of his teachings, but of course I've heard of him lots.
Yeah. Les Brown is. I mean, when we worked with him at that time, and this is about 15 years ago, he was charging $35,000 per hour with a 4-hour minimum, and he was booked almost 8 months out. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, he's just a world-class speaker. I mean, a world-class, and he's the epitome of motivation. I mean, this guy will motivate you to walk through a wall. I mean, he is motivation at its finest. And so he showed up, and he saw one person, and the principal came in and said, gosh, we're so sorry. We didn't know that this was happening and this was happening, and by the time I found out, I couldn't get a hold of your people. And Les Brown said, you know, I came, and he got upset, right? And I came, and I sacrificed, and I invested, and no one's here. So he left. So that night, he was at his hotel room, and he got a call. And he said, hi, and then Les Brown answered, and he said, who is this? He says, well, you don't know me. He says, but I'm that little boy that was in the gym waiting for you to speak. And then Les Brown says, well, what can I do for you? He says, well, Mr. Les Brown, he says, in one of your audio tapes, he said, you say that what you do for all, you do for one. He said, and I was that one. He says, and you didn't do it for me. And he says, Les Brown took that learning lesson away, and he says, after that, it didn't matter how many people showed up. He always did. And that's been part of the philosophy my wife and I have had, because we have had many presentations with 4 or 5 people. Let me tell you. Many. That's why here, do we hope a lot of people are on? Yeah. But it really doesn't matter. It really doesn't matter. Because the message that we have is going to be for somebody. You know? And so when you assume that mindset, people feel different about it. Because now they know that, yes, it's a business, and yes, it could be a lucrative business, but it's not really about the business. It's really about serving people. That's really at the end of the day. If someone asks you, what do you do? We spend all day serving people, and you know, you can pay lucratively for serving people.
Like our Isaiah, our 8-year-old, maybe about a year ago, I was preparing for my More Than High Heels call that I, do on Thursdays, and you prepare for the calls, and I'm writing down my quotes and my notes and what I'm going to cover, and I always cover some kind of toxin and makeup, right? So that's kind of analytical, so I have to write all that down. And I'm like, what do you think of this quote? I'm reading it to my boys. I'm like, what do you think of this? And they're like, oh yeah, we like that one. Or no, we don't. We have a 13-year-old, so he really understands. And my 8-year-old, he wrote down. He said he was writing and writing as I was conversing with my 13-year-old, and our 8-year-old, who was 7 at the time, wrote down, my parents make money by helping other people.
Mm-hmm.
And so when he's like, Mommy, and I was reading other things he wrote, and then he wrote that. And so when I read that, I'm like, oh, well, this is what I'm going to talk about, because, like for me, I know that I'm doing the correct thing when my child, who doesn't understand the philosophy or the leadership that we're trying to teach, but what he understands is that his parents help people. That's what he understands. That's what he sees. And just like a month ago, our 5-year-old, who just turned 6, his coach, because Monday nights are my night to present, right? My evening to work out, and Lewis stays home with the kids. And he's always working, but that's the night I've been assigned to be able to go out, right? And so he has football practice. I'll take him to football practice, and I'm dressed up because from there I'm going to go to my presentation wherever I'm going. And, who shows up to heels to the football field, right? I kind of would probably do that, but not every day. Yeah. And then, so his coach asked him, what does your mom do? And he's like, oh, she stays home and cleans the house. And so, and then he's like, what does your dad do? And he's like, he's my dad. So we're like, isn't that amazing that, like, and then the coach was telling us, because he didn't know what we were doing, but he was telling us, and he's like, I know you guys must do something because you're not going to drive those cars. And he's telling my husband, I see how you and just stay home. But I think that's amazing that to our children, they just know we're present.
Yes.
That's all they know.
And as most people do know, we've had 7 health centers. Financially, we've done well in the past. But you get to a point where, and I want to be clear, I believe in the power of abundance. I believe in the power of prosperity. I think that we should all be prosperous, right? But there's a way to be prosperous and not at the sacrifice of your family. If you look at most CEO Fortune 500 companies, there was a newspaper clipping some years ago. They took like the top 15 CEOs. And they had been divorced, I think, on average 2 to 3 times, right? So there's a price to pay in corporate America, and I'm not downplaying corporate America. Actually, I am, but there's a price to pay, right?
Yeah.
But this is the only industry that you could make it a lifestyle, where the kids are involved. Where in 2.5 weeks we'll leave to Belize with the company, and the boys are coming, and it's just,
are you coming?
Are you going
to the cruise?
Nope, not this time. Next year.
Next one. Yeah. And so last week we had our Christmas party for there's 40 vice chairs, senior vice chairs, and Michelle Wallach, Steve Wallach, Dr. Corey, Tom Chenault, and my 13-year-old was there, and he was sitting at different tables talking to the top producers, and they were loving. My son had just come back from Dominican Republic from a mission. So for us, that's invaluable. For us, you can't. If we would be in an office, we would never be able to have that opportunity. And don't get me wrong. Being a chiropractor, being a businesswoman, it's wonderful. It's incredible, right? But it's just we wouldn't have the opportunity to have this lifestyle, not sacrifice a family, and still be able to live abundantly.
Yeah, you hear that? Bang! See, I told you I love my door because that's our 5-year-old saying, I have a question.
I
have a question. I know, but
I know my daughter was coming through. I'm like, honey.
I know. Yeah,
okay.
my little one doesn't
beauty of it. You know?
My older one, I tell them, unless there is a fire in this house, you do not come through that door. Unless you wait.
Yeah. So
part of that, but you know, it is a healthier lifestyle when you are incorporating family like that, and I think that's part of why you guys in particular are so inspirational to the Youngevity Nation, and I'm sure everybody that sees you, is you're such a family unit. It's like together you're doing all these ginormous things very successfully, very lucratively, but it's not at the sacrifice of your family, it's with your family. We see you together all the time. Your boys are adorable, and you know, that's very inspirational because it's a whole lifestyle that people can achieve. Not just money, you know, but a better quality of life overall.
yeah,
And so, you know, it's just like the neurolinguistic that you were talking about training on. There's a lot of courses that are showing up now all of a sudden in the last, like Cindy's been going through one. I went through some of the other with that Augmentino that you were reading on your morning calls there for a bit. I was starting going through some of the scrolls and different things on that. That's getting very more popular and common nowadays, and it's because your subconscious mind controls everything, but your conscious mind thinks it is. But it's really about your underneath programming. It's very interesting, and the point is to tie those two things together, right?
Yeah. Well, you know, the thing about it is this: is the point of it is that the only wiring that we have when we're born, the only neurological association that we have when we are born, is the association to love. That's the only association we have. We don't understand fear. We don't understand hatred. We don't understand jealousy. We don't understand frustration or animosity. The only association that we have neurologically is love. And so with that understanding, right, and then from the age of 2, psychologically, from the age of 2 to the age of 6, we develop what's called our life script, because our prefrontal cortex does not fully develop until we're about 18, 19 years old, and that's the only thing that guards us from fear. So up until, you know, all our adolescence and our teenage life, we have no filter of fear. So everything that happens to us is a programming. Everything that we see is a programming. Everything that we feel is a programming. Everything that we experience is a programming. And unfortunately, we live in a unhealthy world, right? Maybe not in your home or in Cindy's home or in our home, but when we step out, there's bad people that do bad things. And our society loves to publicize what the bad people do all the time, right? So our kids, we are constantly being bombarded with this information. So here you go. Now you're 20, 30, 40, 50 years old, 60 years old, and you show up to a presentation, and you see someone saying, you can have this lifestyle. And as much as you would love to believe that, you just cannot. You are in a state of duality. You're listening to something that you'd love to capture, but there's so many programs that are telling you otherwise. So that is why people get involved in network marketing, and that is why most people don't do anything in network marketing. Not because of the industry, but because no one takes time to show them a different perspective, to rewire them. Every time that you have a thought, that neural synapse, it can either go for good or it can go for bad. We're created for that neural synapse to go for good. That's what we're created for. But because we're so bombarded with the bad, we're so heavily influenced with the bad, that it begins to flow easier to the bad, right? If you ask somebody, okay, write down 5 things that you love about yourself physically. Write down 5 things that you really, really admire about yourself physically. Let me see. Okay. So you're hesitating. Okay, write 10 things you don't like about yourself physically. Oh, I don't like this, and I don't like that, and I was, you know, because that's our programming, right? So yes. So therefore, here, you know, we're going to be teaching people how to shift that flow from what you don't want And every time you have a thought, that thought actually becomes matter. It becomes, there's protein that is laid down that becomes a physical manifestation, and that physical manifestation will either allow you to see more of what you don't want, or allow you to see more of what you do want, depending on what path it takes. So because we know that most people are negative, since we know that most people don't have the life that they want, since we know that most people aren't making the money that they're making, or aren't happy in their relationship, not because of relationship, but because of how we see things. So since we know that, now our job as professional network marketers, yes, talk about the products, yes, talk about the comp plan, but you got to get in people's minds, and you must help them to reshape that philosophy, reshape that thought process. And like Jerome says, when you change your philosophy, then the trickle effect, then your attitude, your actions, your results, and your lifestyle also changes. So you come into network marketing, right? And we say first thing, okay, we got to go to work. Well, that's the action. But work is very hard. No, but you got to go to work. You got to hit those numbers. You got to rank up. I hear this all the time. People call me all the time. Doc, how do you get people to rank up? Well, what is your upline say? Well, he just gives me the numbers. I see. He tells me I have to hit my numbers. But that's not how you rank up. Because before activity comes attitude. Before attitude comes your philosophy. I'm not going to tell you to go to work if your attitude is not correct. And if your attitude is not correct, it's only based upon what you think. And your thought process is based upon your the programming. So before I tell you how to rank up, because the ranking up is easy, right? If you want to become a vice president, well, that's 36 people. Instead of you going to get 36 people, why don't you bring in 6 people and train them how to get 6 people? That's simple. Okay, that's the work part is the easy part. It's a thought process that's a challenge. It's the thing that it's our own personal self-sabotage that destroys us. So I'm gonna work on you much more than I work on your business, because your business, Cindy or Becky, the business is simple. Try the product and talk to people. Try the product and talk to people. There's nothing else to this business. Try the product and talk. But why is it so amazingly difficult? Because we're stuck. And our job as leaders is to unstick you. And that's what neuroplasticity is all about.
So your upbringing was difficult, sounds like, alcoholic parent.
Yep.
It was hard.
Yep.
So you've obviously done some of this work on your own, on yourself, right? How long did that take you, and how long can somebody expect to fix themselves and rewire to the correct synapses?
Yeah. Well, it can be incredibly fast. You know, what's going to dictate your speed is your why. That's what's going to dictate your speed. Nietzsche, he said, when your why is clear, the how just needs to follow. So therefore, how quickly do you want to rewire yourself? That's going to depend on your why. So if your why, with every person that gets involved, we sit down and we make sure that their why is verbalized. We make sure that their why is written out. We make sure that their why is held accountable by their upline, because that's the only thing that we have to go on at the very beginning. So now, if you tell me that you want to spend more time with your children, you want to provide better for your family, you want to take them from a bad environment to a better environment, you want to put them in a better school district. Now, it's not just telling me what you want. That is not enough. You need to emotionalize it. You need to add as much emotion as possible, because now that's going to create a brand new programming, right? You're going to create a brand new programming of what you want, why you want it, and why you're willing to do whatever it takes. We meet at a lot of different times. We meet at midnight. We meet at 5:30 in the morning. And when I say we, it's not 1 or 2 people. We're talking about 30, 40, 50, 60 people at 5:30 in the morning. Now, how do you get 50, 60 people of your downline to show up at 5:30 in the morning? There's groups that can't get 5 people to show up at noon for lunch, right? How do we get 50 people to show up at 5:30 in the morning? It's because of their why. It's not because of me. It's not because of my wife. It is because of their why. And when their why is clear, then the price is easy. When the promise is clear, then the price is easy. Again, it's about the individual. It's not about us. It's about getting into the thought process of the individual and helping them to really align with what they want. Most people are so unclear in what they want. So how long does it take? Well, it can take an instant. All decisions are made in an instant. There may be a residual, right? So the residual to it is our habits. The residual to it is the things that we tend to do, our lack of discipline. So we're going to work as a team. We're going to work on your habits. That's what we do as coaches. If you are an upline, you're a coach. If you're an upline, you're a mentor. So you're mentoring people to better their to overcome those bad habits. But the decision is made immediately. If there is no decision, nothing's going to happen. Someone came up to me yesterday and said, "Oh, doctor, there's a woman that has cancer, but she refuses to take the product. What should I do?" I said, "Leave her alone." She said, "No, but she has cancer." I said, "No, but more than she has cancer, you said she refuses to take the product." You can't make decisions for other people. You need to find people that are willing to make decisions to better their life, and they're out there. Millions and millions and millions of people. So how long did it take for me? Well, at the age of 24, when I graduated, I was certified, I was licensed, I was ready to conquer the world. I was a young doctor of chiropractic, but I had no money. I was completely broke. I realized that I didn't want to be broke anymore, and I added a lot of passion to not being broke anymore. And I prayed, and when I prayed, I was invited to a seminar, and that's where I met my first mentor. He was giving a presentation, and I asked him if he could mentor me. He started mentoring me. I started with him at the age of 24, and by the age of 27, we earned our first $1 million in business. So for me, it took some time, but remember, I wasn't in the network marketing industry. If I would have been in the network marketing industry, that would have taken maybe half the time. But my mind started changing very, very quickly. He would be on the phone with me every day, Monday through Thursday, for about 30 to 45 minutes without fail. I mean, if there was something that I could not miss, it was that morning phone call. And all I would do on that phone call was listen and take notes. Listen and take notes. What I didn't realize what he was doing was he was changing my philosophy. He was putting seeds into my thought process that was making me think differently. And as he started making me think differently, I started behaving differently, I started speaking differently, and then he put me through activities. One activity he would put me through is that I would have to carry a spine. When those plastic bottles, I'd have to carry a spine in the mall. And the goal for carrying a spine in the mall is that I needed to be rejected 30 times, at least once or twice a week. Rejected. So therefore, a rejection meaning like someone says, "Oh, what is that?" And I say, "Oh, I'm a chiropractor. Would you like to come in?" Absolutely not. Okay, that's a rejection. What I didn't know is that he was getting my skin very thick. He was making me desensitized to what people thought and what people said. So when you take these elements of philosophy and you see, if I tell you no, most people feel like, "Oh my goodness, the world's going to come to an end. The sky is falling. I can't do this. It doesn't work out." I've heard so many no's. It doesn't even register to me anymore. I tell people when I speak, if you get involved, it's for you. It's not for me. You're not going to make me any healthier by getting involved. You're not going to add much to my income. I said the person who invited you has the same ranking that I do. I'm making no money. I'm doing this because it's correct. I'm doing this because it's true. So the only person that will benefit most is you, not me. And when they see that philosophy and they feel like it's not a sales pitch, but it's someone who really purposely, willingly wants to help people. The whole dynamic of the presentation changes. And it changes from our presentation to almost like an outreach, right? And when people sign up, it doesn't like, my team isn't thinking, "Oh yeah, I'm gonna pay my car, I'm gonna pay my home." No, to us, this is a brand new relationship that we need to cultivate. And upon the cultivation of that relationship, we're gonna potentially build a new leader. And you don't need a lot of leaders to have an amazing network marketing business. You only need a handful of leaders a handful of leaders, and your business, one of the most thriving businesses in the industry of network marketing. So, to answer your question, change happens in an instant. The residual takes a little bit of time. You speed up the residual by how powerful, how emotional, and how honest your why is. You have to make your why passionate. You have to make your why convicting. You have to make your why that you're willing to go to bed at 2 and wake up at 4 if that's what it takes.
That was about it last night. Oh.
Yeah, like last night.
Pretty late.
What you were saying about the no's, there's a book out, and I'm not exactly sure I have the title right, but it's like Go for the No.
Oh,
and, yeah, and I know a very successful network marketer. He said what he did was every day, his goal was to get 20 no's.
Yeah.
You know, so you go out for the no's, and that way you're being successful by getting the no's.
All you did is just change that file. Just change that programming from, instead of being so afraid of getting that no, you welcome the no's, and in the process of the 20 no's, you'll get about 15 yeses.
Yeah, and you're learning from every no, every failure, well, you don't want to call it a failure, but from every no, you're learning how to do it better the next time. But you've got to get the no's to learn.
And that's part of our, that's a philosophical tenet. You know, that's an understanding. That's an awareness. And that is the awareness that we have. And the minute that as we develop our awareness, as we develop our awareness of communication, of personal interaction, of truly having a dialogue, and not just a two-person monologue. I'm not sitting here as you're speaking, I'm thinking, no, but as you're speaking, I'm really, really paying attention to you. I'm listening to what you're saying. And when we develop these skills, because they're learned skills, when we develop these skills, then the art of network marketing, because network marketing is a philosophy, it's a science, and it's an art. The art of network marketing completely changes. Now you could be a Picasso, you could be a Rembrandt, and every individual that comes into your organization, they are a clean canvas. They are this beautiful canvas that you can paint however you want to paint. See, those words are painting pictures in your mind that's becoming files for network marketing now. And it's removing, and if we can do this long enough, the files of recruiting and cold calling, they go away, and now you're looking at network marketing. Oh, this is like art, and you're like Diego Rivera, right? You are an artist. That's why just having people say professional in front of network marketing changes everything. See, it took me 7 years and almost $200,000 to become a doctor. I'm a professional. I have a profession. But it only cost $4.99 in no schooling to become a network marketer. So immediately we attach a lot less value. But if you become a professional network marketer, that introduces a brand new value to what you do. I look at network marketing more important than I look at myself being a chiropractor. Because as a chiropractor, I'm going to adjust to you, you're going to feel better, you're going to get better, and thank you very much. You will never be able to do what I do. But in network marketing, not only can you do what I do, but you can be better, you can surpass me, you can be bigger, and that to me is inspiring, and it's inspiring to the other individual also. You too can be a miracle worker. You too can be one of those people that will 5 years from now is standing outside in front of 100,000 people sharing your story of hope and inspiration. You can do, see, as a doctor of chiropractor, not unless you go to school for 7 years and invest hundreds of thousands of dollars, you're not going to become a doctor. But here, for $4.99, you and I can share the exact same stage. And in fact, I encourage you to have a bigger stage than mine. In fact, I will help you so your barn can be much bigger than my barn. So your barn will overflow more than mine. So it's a whole different perspective on how we see the market.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Wow. So you want to share some of this training with Youngevity as a whole?
Yep.
That's what you're overall.
That's what we're going to do. That's what I'm going to do with my Spanish group, and I'm going to do that with my English group also. I'm going to follow I'm gonna follow the 21-day detox, how to detoxify your mind, how to rewire your brain, and the process we are going to use it primarily for the industry of network marketing and specifically for Youngevity. And we're gonna take a lot of people who are seniors and make them senior vice chairs in 90 days. We're gonna take a lot of people who just get involved and make them VPs and presidents in 90 days. We in the last and I can show. Well, where was I? In our first 12 months, we created 90 senior executive marketing directors in our first 12 months. In the next 14 months, we created 520.
Wow.
So in 2 years, we've created 610 senior executive marketing directors. Well, as a collective group, we will double that number. And when you have an organization that has over 1,000 senior executive marketing directors, you're moving, you know. And again, you, wherever is out there in the internet world, you can do that. You can do that. You definitely can do that. But it depends with working on yourself, and then it also depends with understanding the tenets of becoming a professional network marketer. The invitation, verification, presentation, and the meeting content. As I was sharing with Becky last night, nothing in our business is by coincidence, and nothing is by luck, nothing is by happenstance. If you go to a presentation, you're going to think, wow, it's phenomenal. Everything is rehearsed. Everything is set up. Everything. From the people from our ushers, to the people greeting you, to the people writing your name on the name tag, to the people sitting you down, to the MC, to the front half, to the back half, to the music, to the participation, to the close, everything is rehearsed. So when you're given that formula, you're like, gosh, it's like give me a formula of one of your favorite dishes. Maybe you have a delicious upside down pineapple cake or whatever, right? If you give me the recipe and I follow the recipe, then I should get a pretty similar cake as yours. Maybe not exactly the same thing, because maybe you've done it more than I have, but it'll be pretty similar. Same thing here. Once you get these principles, these steps, then you'll build the organization.
So what's the front half and the back half that you've referred to that a couple times? What's that mean?
So in a presentation, there's 4 speakers. There's the MC, there's the front half, the back half, and the closer. The MC is an individual that comes up and is usually up for no longer than about a minute and a half. And the MC has 4 parts. They welcome the audience. They never say thank you. You never thank the audience. You welcome them. Why do you not say thank you? Because they're not helping you. You're helping them. The minute
I've heard that before. It's interesting, isn't it?
What's that?
I've heard that before. That's interesting.
Yeah.
You know, the difference is you're gifting them.
Yes, exactly. So you welcome them like you welcome them into your home. You welcome them. You say, welcome everyone. My name is. You state your name. You pick up a cell phone and you say, please turn off your cell phone. Don't put it on buzz. Don't put it on vibrate. I need for you to take your finger and turn off your cell phone. And then you edify the front half, the front half. Edification is the ability to lift someone's persona in front of somebody else. Edification comes from the root word edifice, and in Latin, edifice is a building, to build up. So you build somebody up in front of. So the MC gives a name, welcome, turn off your cell phone, and edifies a front half speaker. The front half speaker comes up, returns the edification, attacks and confess, and does the product. Now, what is attack and confess? In 2001, they took a poll. They took a poll on who has been the greatest orator in the last 100 years. Who has been the most influential speaker in the last 100 years? And who do you think?
Billy Graham.
Very good. Dr. Billy Graham. Dr. Billy Graham has spoke to more people than any other speaker in the world. Dr. Billy Graham has spoken in the 4 corners of the world. So Dr. Billy Graham, because he spoke to so many people in so many different languages, Dr. Billy Graham didn't have time to connect with everyone. Cool. So he developed a system of connection that was very, very brief, and that's called Attack and Confess, and that revolves around 5 pieces: who you are, where you were, what you saw, what you did, and where you are today. I'll repeat it: who you are, where you were, what you saw, what you did, and where you are today. Is this being taped?
Yes.
You're recording. Okay, good. So from there, that's called an attack and confess. What you do is you give the perception of vulnerability. You see, if you and I are going to dialogue, and I make myself vulnerable, you will too. Mm-hmm. If I make myself transparent, you're going to feel that I'm more believable. One of the challenges in network marketing is that too many people look like pitch people. They look like salespeople because they never make themselves vulnerable. The reason my wife and I talk about where we were, because that's our connection. Who would find us attractive? We stand up and say, yeah, well, we're making 6 figures and we drive Mercedes and our kids go to, you'd be like, oh, okay, well, that's not fun. I'm not there, and what's that?
I can't relate and whatever. It's
Perfect.
not the connection, the reality.
Exactly. But if we say, well, gosh, we're born and raised in the ghetto and our dads were alcoholic, and now you're sitting here thinking, well, gosh, I know how that feels. Well, I know how it feels to maybe not have what you want. I know how it feels to maybe wake up a little cold sometimes. I know how it feels to maybe have the electricity turned off. Not everybody, but the majority of people, right? That's called attack and confess. So therefore, the front half speaker comes up, attacks and confess, and then they start the product. The front half is the product. They start the product presentation. And the product presentation is, we have a mega pack, and they give a 1 to 2 minute description on every product. So it takes about 15 minutes for the product, and then we bring up 4 testimonies that are prepared. We don't say, oh, so who here wants to share their story about Youngevity? No, that's the worst thing you can say, okay? They have to be prepared. And so the testimonies, they're real, they're in their own words, but we tell them, you're going to have 1 minute, and that's it. And if you don't finish, we're going to remove the mic, because you don't want people to go up there and give another presentation, right? So you got to keep things flowing. So once that's done, then the front half speaker is going to introduce and edify the back half speaker. The back half speaker comes up, returns the edification, attacks and confess, and goes over the compensation plan. And they only get up to how to become a senior. And then from the compensation plan, then the back half speaker is going to edify the closing speaker. The closing speaker comes up, edifies back, attacks and confess, and closes the room. And that's your MC, front half, back half, and close.
So on we see you have like hundreds of people at these meetings. Are you the closer person then? Or where are you?
Well, I'm the closer on Wednesday and Saturday. And Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday, the other leaders are closing.
Everything is just so systematized. You're so successful, and you're not winging any of it. You are very, it's orchestrated, choreographed every single meeting, beginning to end, everything about it.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Right. Again, we can't afford. Yesterday, one of our vice presidents said, I would like to do the front half, right? And I said, wonderful. So on Monday, we're going to do speaker training. I want you to do the front half for the leaders. And if you do it, and if your front half is good, then you can be put into the speaking system. But we can't just let you go up there and do the front half, because these people have brought guests. That's their money. That's their business. We have to make sure that the speakers are going to deliver the message.
So when you were ill the other day and the lady went up for you on your behalf, she'd already been through all that. You knew that she was capable already. She's have people ready. They can step in. They've been literally through training to do that.
Right. And she in particular, she's a senior vice chair. She does her own presentations.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, she shows up only Wednesdays and Saturdays. And so like the vice chairs and the senior vice chairs, they're pretty ready whenever. There's no preparation because they're doing presentations on their own. So actually for them, it's an honor to speak on a Wednesday night because that's when everyone shows up. So it's kind of fun because like the front half, a lot of people want to do the front half on Wednesday nights because that's a big deal. And they all understand that he who holds a mic will make the most money. So there's a lot of speakers that want to be on the platform. But to be on the platform for Wednesday, you have to really, really rehearse and be primed. And the way you get primed is by doing a lot of core presentations. Is by speaking a lot in smaller groups. And then once you're comfortable, then you graduate to the bigger group.
Wow.
That's great.
It's so unusual. That's why you're doing this, crushing it, is because it is all orchestrated, and it's very like like consistent. Whatever you do is the same. Everybody knows the part.
Like I was telling you yesterday, okay, so Monday we go back to the fundamental, basic training. We're going to go over invitation again. And they got all excited. Not because they don't know, most of them already are professional advisors, but because they're downline. So now we're going to raise another level, right? So now on Monday, we're going to start invitation. There's 6 points to every invitation. The connection, the why, emotionalize, you edify, you get the appointment, and you cement the appointment. So we go over that, and we over and over and over and over and over. We role play over and over until they feel good about it, and then they're released.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Mm-hmm.
And we're coming on 20 minutes to 3 o'clock, so we probably need to wrap up. Is there anything else you'd like to share, Arriaza?
Beautiful quote my Jamie said, never be afraid to unknown futures you don't know. Don't be afraid of going right. Let's really step into let's physically step into a great, not just mentally, emotionally. Let's physically step into a fabulous 2015. 2015 is going to be the best year for many people. It's going to be a year like no other, and it's going to be an unprecedented year. It's going to be things bigger than what we can ever imagine. And they're going to be occurring here in the injection. So remove that quarter filter and really step into it, because there's people waiting for us to grow into ourselves so they can link it to our business.
I'm getting a lot of feedback loop on there. Cindy, are you? I'm hoping it's just my machine.
Actually, I was getting a little bit of feedback on that one too, but
it's clear.
Yeah.
Okay. Mike's up with that, so maybe we'll do that next time, or it's all good. We don't want to miss any of part of your.
Yes, it's almost 12:45. So this was phenomenal. And again, I say this sincerely. I don't care who was on. This was awesome. And I know this is going to be a tool that we're going to use a lot this year. So thank you, because this you made it very easy. So thank you both very much.
Oh, you're very welcome.
It is very powerful, and it's fun, and we love it. So it's great.
Thank you so much for being on. Thank you so much.
Oh, my pleasure. And we'll be on the call at 1 o'clock, and then Becky, I'll give you a call later on.
Okay, sweet. That's great. Okay. I'll be around today. So, thank you.
Bye bye.
Okay. Have a great New Year's. Bye bye.
You too. Oh shoot! I got so excited I forgot about my what I'm supposed to be doing.
Close out banner.
Yeah, hang on. And we'll close out this show, and So are we ready to close, Becky? Any last words?
I'm just so thrilled. You know, they're such an inspiring couple, individually and as a family, and the timing is just so great for so many things, you know, for people to improve their life in every way. And I do think that when you have freedom like that, mental and emotional freedom, it's very health inducing. And you have more time and connection with your children, with your parents, with your each other, with whatever. And I'm just really encouraged that so many people need improvements in their life this way, and we'll continue to expose people to what choices are out there and why. I should take a look at it. It's not for everybody.
And the mental aspect of what he was talking about is so powerful, because what is it that holds us all back from being prosperous? It's ourselves. It's what we have going on in our head. And if there's a way to help people get past that and to train, I know I struggle with that daily. And you know, there's a lot that can be done, the positive affirmations and what he's talking about, all of that fits in exactly with what he's talking about, because it's retraining our brain, reprogramming our brain. The key is how to do it and to do it and get it done. And it's just wonderful. So with that, I think, shall we close out?
Yep, we better close out.
Okay, bye everybody.
Thanks everybody.
Thanks for watching this week's show. Be sure to join us next week when we reveal more hidden facts of the Nutrition Health Connection for you.